No heroics into Sandoval, please.
Cheers, Jeff.
Hey guys, it's James here. Welcome back to another F1 2020 My Team career mode video. We are here for episode number 5 of season 3 at the Canadian Grand Prix. If you did miss the last episode in Azerbaijan, make sure to go check that one out. It was probably one of my best ever performances. We basically overtook the entire field twice to win there, which was fantastic. And in the constructor standings now, JamesNS Racing are quite a long way ahead at the top. Canada, we're going back to the place where we took our first ever win back in Season 2. We qualified there in 6th in the boat of a Season 1 car, so hopefully we can do well here again, as we're now going to advance time towards qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix.
Our new parts have been completed without issue. They'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend.
So here we are then for qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix, and we're going over and checking the setup. You know it's going to be the golden setup. It's the setup that comes from Canada, 3/6 wings, so it's very, very effective around here. And so then coming on to my second qualifying lap then, I think this is in the middle of the session. We're going through. We had a pretty good first lap up in 6th place. Obviously, we qualified 3rd there last year and 6th in the boat of a Season 1 car, which was an absolutely fantastic qualifying lap with the fastest car now. So hopefully we'll be able to stick the car a little bit higher up than 3rd on the grid. But then again, 3rd meant that we won the race, so 3rd place wasn't too much of a disaster. We're quite a long way down through the first sector. We made a big mistake through turns 3 and 4. We're using all the track there on the exit of that second chicane. That was pretty fantastic. Heading through this right-left chicane now. We gained a little bit of time. We're still 3/10 down, which is a bit frustrating. So the last lap hasn't been great so far. It's not been that scruffy. It's just been a little bit untidy. We haven't quite managed to push the car as much as we'd like to, but we did make a big mistake in the final sector coming out of the Wall of Champions. So this is where we'll be looking to gain up most of our time, which is 1.5 tenths down. We're going down towards the final chicane. We're going to fly through here, turn in nice and early, keep all 4 wheels on the circuit, use all of the runoff on the exit. We've gained a huge amount of time through there, so much so it's a purple final sector. And where does this put us in qualifying as we come across the line? It's put us in 3rd place. That's not too bad. 1.5 tenths off Daniel Ricciardo. If our first 2 sectors had been a little bit better, we could have had a chance, but still 3rd place tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to the Ile Notre Dame once again for what promises to be another incredible Canadian Grand Prix. With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Daniel Ricciardo has a clear view ahead from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have James, Sainz, Alexander Albon, and Verstappen, Perez, Stroll, Norris, and Sebastian Vettel, Kvyat, De Vries, Pierre Gasly, and Ocon, Bottas. They've taken a grid penalty. Latifi, Kevin Magnussen, and Charles Leclerc, Russell, Grosjean, Giovinazzi, and Guan Yu Zhou. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So here we are then for the start of the Canadian Grand Prix, starting from 3rd on the grid, and there's rain on the way. So it looks like a normal 2-stop strategy, but there is some light rain that's going to come in the middle of the race. I wonder if that means we'll have to use intermediate tyres, but it's going to be a 2-stop nonetheless. But we're going to go to 5 red lights for the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. The lights are off and so away. It's showtime here in Montreal. Super launch from Daniel Ricciardo as we're side by side with Lewis Hamilton. We go down the inside into the first corner. We look to swoop all the way around the outside of turn 2. And yes, we're up into 2nd place, much like we did to Valtteri Bottas last year. We've done to his teammate Lewis Hamilton this year. And we're up into 2nd place from 3rd on the grid. 2 consecutive Canadian Grand Prix in a row as Daniel Ricciardo leads us round through turn 5. We get a replay of the start. It was a fantastic start from Daniel Ricciardo, who launched off the line. We got a good start compared to Lewis Hamilton, and we left the McLaren behind us for dead. We lunged it down the inside of the first corner, managed to get the overspeed to swoop all the way around the outside of turn 2, and so we're up into second place. It's a JNS Racing 1-2 at the start here in Montreal. We cut now to the end of lap number 2. We're getting quite close to the back of Daniel Ricciardo. Obviously no DRS yet, so we won't quite be able to get past him without the DRS, but we will need some. We've set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so we are going quicker than our teammates at this moment in the race. Now we cut to the end of the very next lap on the exit of the hairpin. We've got DRS on Daniel Ricciardo. We're using overtake as well. We're in his slipstream. We've got many things going for us. Will we be able to get past? No, not quite close enough into the first chicane. We keep all 4 wheels on the circuit through the Wall of Champions chicane. Now we're chasing after Daniel Ricciardo down towards the first corner. New fastest lap of the race, and down the inside of our teammate we go, and we are up into the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Much like last year, we got past Lewis Hamilton after the first pit stops. This time we've got past the leader of the race into the very first corner. Another replay of that overtake. It was a super move down the inside. The first real wheel-to-wheel battle that we've had with our teammate Daniel Ricciardo, and we've come out on top there. As we cut to now lap number 5. We're going quite nicely indeed through this section. We are still leading Daniel Ricciardo almost by a full second, so we make sure he doesn't get the DRS. Now on lap number 7, look how dark it's getting. Something tells me rain is on the way. These rear tyres are also not very happy, but there is definitely rain in the air around Montreal. Obviously, the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix was an absolutely fantastic race, but there is rain on the way, and I'm not comfortable in the rain, especially on slick tyres. That would be an absolute disaster. So we're going to look to pit at the end of lap number 8. A fresh set of mediums will be going on the car. I hope we haven't jumped the gun too early, because those soft tyres probably could have done maybe 3 laps more, perhaps. That's probably pushing it. 2 laps more. So, yeah, hopefully we haven't jumped the gun here in terms of going straight onto the intermediate tyres. I think there are some specks of rain coming down just as we go onto a new set of tyres. It can be so hard to get these tyres up to temperatures. We get overtaken left, right and centre coming out of the pit lane. You see everybody crawling through on lap number 9. We're right behind Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Kvyat, and one of the McLaren cars as well. Daniel Ricciardo has come into the pits though, so it gives me a little bit of reassurance that we haven't done the stupid thing by staying out on the soft tyres. We breeze past the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel when we get up into what is 7th place. He's actually dived into the pit lane as we're chasing after Danny Kvyat and Lando Norris. Now still behind Danny Kvyat on lap number 10. We try and go all the way around the outside of turn 2. We've had a big bumping of tyres. My front right versus his left rear as we go trying to go side by side through turn 2. He's holding us up massively. The track is getting extremely slippy and quite greasy. It's difficult to keep the car on the circuit. On lap number 10 here, now chasing after Lando Norris. We did get past Danny Kvyat. We are still doing quite well. He's gone into the pits, as has Lance Stroll. So we've retaken the lead of the Grand Prix. The question is, though, are we going to be able to keep it in the rain? You know how bad I am in the rain, especially on a surface that isn't quite wet enough for the intermediate tyre. I'm not great at tiptoeing. I've gone too deep into the hairpin. That's going to open the door for Daniel Ricciardo. We have to give him the space. We go so close towards the wall, and Daniel Ricciardo has overtaken us and gone back up into the lead of the race. Daniel Ricciardo has got up into the lead again. That's so frustrating. He's got the DRS as well, meaning that we won't be able to catch him down this straight. Now, as we can see, we cut to the broadcast cam, and we've had a huge slide. What an absolute disaster that is. We've had a huge slide. We get the onboard. We've had a massive slide heading towards the wall, and we've been overtaken by Alexander Albon and Lewis Hamilton. We're down to 4th. We've actually picked up a bit of front wing damage from that as well. What a disaster. Yep, you see, we cut back to my actual racing POV. What an absolute horror show that is. We've been overtaken by Albon and Hamilton. It's got to be time for the intermediate tyre. I can't slow the car down into the hairpin. What's going on? It's so slippery out there. There's so much wheel spin. I almost spinned it on the exit of the hairpin there. We've got front wing damage. It's got to be time to get these horrendous slick tyres off. It is tipping it down in Montreal, and the game has kept us out on the slick tyres. Right, finally, we come in for the intermediates. We speed into the pit lane. We do just manage to pull the brakes on. But yes, we're going to have a nose change as well. So this is going to cost us massively. And the fact the team has double stopped. Daniel has Oh, not even left the pit lane yet. I thought he had just left. He hadn't even left the garage yet. And look, they've got a new nose off. They weren't even ready with the new nose. Hurry up. I'm sitting in the pit box and they haven't done anything. They finally put the new nose on, but it's a full 10.8 second stop. That's cost us Carlos Sainz's position and also a position to Max Verstappen. So we're now in a net P6 because Esteban Ocon has not pitted yet. He's decided to stay out on the medium compound tyre, which is probably a really stupid thing to do, considering he's going to have absolutely no pace or traction. You see how much he's slithering around on the exit. We just breeze past down the straight. Esteban Ocon has absolutely no pace whatsoever in that car at all, with no intermediate tyres on. Now, lap number 16. It looks like it's getting a tiny bit drier, but we are losing time to Carlos Sainz. You know how uncomfortable I get in the wet tyres conditions, and same with intermediates, and yes, we're not going very quickly at all. It's drying up a little bit though. The rain seems to have eased off by lap number 20, meaning that we might get a slick tyre sprint to the finish basically. We're going to have a huge disadvantage, but with the fastest car in the dry around my favourite circuit, I wouldn't bet against myself. Perhaps getting 4th place. I reckon I can get past both Sainz and Verstappen. I think Lewis Hamilton might be a little bit too far up the road now. Lap 22. DRS has been re-enabled, meaning it's time for the slick tyres. We're going to come in, strap on a fresh set of the medium compound of tyre. And what that means is it's going to be a 14-lap sprint to the finish. Daniel Ricciardo's in. Hopefully we don't get held up too much by the double stop. Obviously, it didn't help us last time out. The team was so slow. They're not ready again. Hurry up. 4.0 second stops. That's cost us another couple of seconds. The team having a cup of tea. Just get going. Get the tyres off. Come on. Verstappen's also been harmed by his double stop as well, with Albon, who's up ahead. He obviously got past us, did Alex Albon, when we had that massive slide. We've set a purple final sector though on lap 26, meaning we are going extremely quickly on our fresh set of the medium compound of tyre, with Sainz and Verstappen up ahead. I reckon we can get 4th place, and if we get the fastest lap as well, 13 points is not a disaster considering we almost binned it in the wall in the wet condition. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix on lap 27. We are absolutely flying. The gap to Verstappen and Sainz coming down all the time, and so we need to keep doing our absolute best to get past them both. 4th place, again, as I say, it really wouldn't be a disaster. Now, lap number 28, the start of it, we're chasing after Max Verstappen. It's another fastest lap. We're getting ever so close to the Dutch driver, but just a little bit too far back. We might be able to have another go, perhaps. Yeah, on lap 28, we're in the slipstream of Verstappen, down towards the final chicane. We're going to go down the inside of the Dutchman, who does give us the room, and we're up into 5th place. And Hamilton is actually only 6.4 seconds up the road, but the fact is, he is going to be much quicker than both Sainz and Verstappen. We're chasing after Carlos Sainz. Purple first sector, green middle sector. Now, we're opened up the DRS. We're in rich mix. We're using the overtake mode as well. New fastest lap. We go to the outside. We put a couple of wheels on the grass, but it doesn't matter. We're up now into 4th place, and we've gained a second on Hamilton. Could a podium be on the cards here? The gap is 3.1 seconds. I think we're going to run out of laps to get past Lewis Hamilton, but we're going to give it all of our might to get past our fellow Brit. We beat him by 2.7 seconds last time out for the win in Canada. Hopefully we can nick his final spot on the podium, as Daniel Ricciardo seems to be breezing away with this Grand Prix win. Right, final lap of the Grand Prix. Final couple of corners. We're just a little bit too far back from Lewis Hamilton. We try and get the power down as early as possible. Open the DRS using rich mix. All the fuel we've got left. Are we going to get Hamilton on the line? We have. I think we have. Yes, that's a podium.
The faces on our top 3 look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
So these are the results. We beat Lewis Hamilton by 0.011 across the line. Absolutely staggering end to the Grand Prix. Picked up 16 points. Daniel Ricciardo picked up 25. We only just beat Hamilton, but we got a podium. The gap in the championship has come down just a little bit, but again, we've extended our constructors' fight lead. Look at that, 72 points now ahead of our nearest competitors. So that was the Canadian Grand Prix. I hope you guys did enjoy that episode. It was a thrilling race, very much from start to finish. Some absolutely fantastic scenes, as well as we got Lewis Hamilton on the line. If you did enjoy this episode, make sure to give the video a like. Subscribe if you are new around here and you want to see Formula 1 content 3 times a week, and I will catch you in the next one. Later, guys.